Hey guys, this is a little bit of an impromptu video. I know that I didn't upload last week and I wanted to get one out this week at least to give you guys something to look forward to. We still have a lot of work to do on the setup and getting things taken care of, so I'm not really gonna be doing a diamond art thing with this one. It's just gonna be me talking to the camera. I hope that's okay. I hope you guys don't mind looking at whatever this is today. While I talk to you about my crazy grandmother. And I say crazy, but she's not as crazy as I thought she was initially. Don't get me wrong, she was pretty crazy, but she wasn't as crazy. So growing up, I learned a lot about my grandma before I even met her. I just heard a lot of stories growing up about her. None of them were particularly great. She was a bit of a character, a bit eccentric. One of my earliest memories, apart from when I was about 6 or 7, because it's the last time I ever really remember her before this, but I was about 12 when she decided to come visit us in South Carolina. And she brought a bunch of groceries and was like, I'm gonna stay for a little while. But when she showed up, she was completely bald, just completely bald, and just didn't address it. No, nothing, just this is how she looked. And that is it. And that's my grandma. So this is going to be about one of the times that I decided to look into some of the stories that she would tell me growing up. So my grandma was always saying out-of-pocket stuff like Saddam Hussein kidnapped her, took her to Hawaii, assaulted her, and brought her back to Ohio. And that is how my mother came to be. Now, that's obviously not true, but that is what she would say, that was it. That was her story, and she was sticking to it. She became obsessed with him to the point where she had every news clipping you could find about the man plastered on her wall. It was actually very disturbing. She started to say she was Muslim. I don't know. It was a whole big deal. She was wild. She said that one time she saw little green men running up her nose. She tried to steal somebody's drugs. I think it was her cousin out of her bra while she was sleeping. My grandma was wild. The cops showed up one time, because when I came home, the door was unlocked and the lights were on, and my grandma never does that. She just doesn't do that. So I was worried. And they came in with guns drawn because my grandmother also has history. One time she pulled her gun on the police and dumped her drugs down her toilet. So they were a little wary when they came in. They full guns drawn, and Sandra would come out and all this stuff, and that was wild. So she was a bit of a character, a bit eccentric. Now, she always said growing up that she had a sister named Siobhan, which is a very odd name that I had never heard of. And I don't know, it stuck with me because it's not something that somebody just makes up. It's not a name that somebody comes up with on the spot, I guess you could say. And everybody's like, no, she's crazy. And she was like, no, they gave this little girl up for adoption when I was younger and I never saw her again. Or she said she just disappeared one day and she never saw her again. And she'd ask about her and they would yell at her and beat her for asking about her. And I was just like, well, that's weird. And it wasn't until after my grandmother passed away, when I was an adult, well into my 20s, that I actually looked into, as much as I could at the time my grandmother's passed. And according to a census from around the time, I don't know, 50s-ish, I believe, there is a census with her name right there. And then it's gone. It's just she's never a part of any of that ever again. So I don't know what happened. But considering how my grandmother grew up, I wouldn't say it was good. I wouldn't say, because my grandmother went through a lot as a child. I'd say that the best case scenario is that she was given up for adoption, though I really don't know. I have my suspicions because my family is not the best, and nobody likes to talk about our family or anything from our family or our past or anything. I really can't find a lot on it. It's kind of disconcerting. So maybe there will be updates in the future about my family tree and we'll figure out some stuff together. I don't know. But yeah, that's something that I learned, is that my grandmother actually did have a sister named Siobhan, and she did disappear, at least from census records around the time, never to come back. So I don't know what happened there, and I'd love to know one day what happened. So if anybody knows of a little girl named Siobhan and she was adopted, hit me up. I might be a relative. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Yeah, so that's my story. My dad's side of his family is also very hush-hush and quiet. I don't know anything about that side, even less so than my mother's side. My grandmother died before I was born. That's about all I know. And yeah, so maybe I'll look into that and we'll figure it out and see what happens. So I'm sorry this isn't the longest story time, but hopefully it was interesting enough for you guys, because yeah, I thought it was pretty interesting, pretty weird. Yeah. Oh, I mean, if you want another backup story about my grandma, there is the time that when I was about 13, she called the cops on me because my friend and I were out walking around, and she just did this. I don't know. We weren't causing any problems. We weren't late. We weren't out doing anything. She just did this because sometimes she just did weird shit that I couldn't explain. So the cops came and they picked me up. And I got a big talking to. And then I ended up having to go to court because she tried to accuse me of pushing her down the stairs in her wheelchair, which I don't have a picture up to flash up, but I need to get one, and I need to post it in the Facebook group called Death Stairs, because these stairs were concrete, very small concrete stairs that ended up on a concrete floor at the bottom of my basement. And if I had pushed this woman in her giant wheelchair, as big as she was and as big as the wheelchair was, she'd have some kind of marks, and she had nothing. No bruises, no scratches, no red, nothing. There was nothing at all. But I ended up going to court at like 13 because of this, and she had ended up dropping the charges when I showed up to court. So yeah, that's kind of what I grew up with. She was a little weird, and yeah. She'd wake up at like 3 a.m. every morning and wake me up because she'd be cooking and cleaning and reading her newspaper and just banging stuff all around the living room. And so that was fun every morning. But she did make some great fried potatoes, gotta say. Grandma's fried potatoes, I don't think any other fried potatoes hit better than those. So, a bit of a take it or leave it kind of thing. I don't know. There for the fried potatoes. She'd feed me, and if I brought company, she'd feed them too. And she'd smoke a little bit of the reefer and call it a doobie snack. Scooby Dooby snack. That's my grandma. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and if you guys want any more videos like this, just let me know in the comments and leave a like and subscribe and tell all your friends about the weird girl on YouTube that's talking about her messed up family. I hope you guys have a great day, and thank you for stopping by. Bye!